Who says the special relationship is dead? A member of the American government, which takes office in a few days' time, has spent the entire week creating havoc in the British political system. A deluge of racist and Islamophobic filth has been unleashed by a member of the United States government. Now, it's not about race, because I don't even know what race Elon Musk is. I know he's a product of apartheid South Africa. Maybe those habits die hard. But it's not that he's against brown people. He can't be, because as Steve Bannon pointed out most pungently over the last couple of weeks, Elon Musk wants to flood Silicon Valley with Indians, $9 an hour Indians, admittedly. He wants to put them up in multi-occupation flats. He wants them doing the software for Silicon Valley, for the big tech industry. So he's not against brown people per se, but boy, does he have a bone in his throat about what he calls Pakistanis. The proximate reason for the resurfacing of an issue which I have been leading on for years is the decision by Elon Musk to open the floodgates, to turn on the algorithms, and to unleash a racist tide of filth, the likes of which I have never seen in getting on for 20 years on Twitter. Mr. Musk paid me $154 for December because of my prodigious, nearly 100 million views worth of tweets. He's very generous that way. God knows what he's going to pay me in January, though, because I have spent day after day, almost every day of this year, batting away a tide of such people as I never knew existed. Some of them are in Pennsylvania. Have you not got a mass shooting to take care of, to fix your attention on, kids being massacred in schools, in malls, in theatres, on parades, at sports games? I mean, why? What first attracted you, Mr. Pennsylvania, to the plight 10 years ago of poor working class English girls being cruelly sexually exploited by men? In the case of Rotherham and in Rochdale, often men of South Asian descent, Indians, Pakistanis, Bangladeshis, Sri Lankans. But in the rest of the country, i.e. 89% of all convictions for sexual abuse of children, 89% were white English people, but they don't seem to have caught the attention of Pennsylvania quite so much. I just blocked somebody from the Aryan front. Every Nazi, fascist, racist, Muslim-hating piece of human filth has been unleashed and motivated by Elon Musk as a matter of deliberate policy. He is the one that, for whatever reason, and I'd be interested in knowing exactly what that reason is. Was it diversionary? Is it look over there because Bannon's punches on his H-1B visa maladroitness was beginning to cut through in the public? Is it to soften up the public for some crime that Trump is about to commit when he takes office against, I don't know, maybe a Muslim country, or maybe two? I don't know the reason. What I do know is that Elon Musk is either in the middle of a nervous breakdown, or he is abusing the extraordinary power that he paid $44 billion for, although he's just sold 5% of the company to, what's their name again? BlackRock, that's it. He has decided that he's going for bust. He doesn't want to just work Donald Trump from the back or with his hand up his rectum. No, Elon Musk wants to run British politics too. Now, I assumed that this was all being done as part, kind of down payment on the $100 million he promised to donate into British politics, quite illegally, by the way. He would have had to find some powerful subterfuge to do that. Foreign funding of British political parties not being allowed. You know what I mean? He was going to give Nigel Farage's party $100 million just 2 weeks ago. Today, he called for Farage to be removed as the leader of the Reform Party in Britain. He's not making any bones about who he thinks should replace Nigel Farage. The jailbird, the convict, the multiply imprisoned, multiply named, little jackbooter, now going by the name as prisoner Tommy Robinson. Tommy Robinson, whose real name is Stephen Yaxley-Lennon, changed it to Tommy so he could appear more proletarian. Know what I mean? Has been arrested in Canada as an illegal immigrant, is funded by the Israel lobby in the United States and in Britain, and whose sole purpose is to whip up dangerous currents of hatred against Britain's Muslim population. Although again, I stress this point, the kind of people who follow Tommy Robinson and now Elon Musk don't know the difference between a Pakistani and a Bangladeshi or an Indian. Sikhs in turbans are regularly beaten up by the brown shirts under the power of these Gauleiters because, hey, they look like Muslims, don't they? The hatred of Tommy Robinson for Muslims is, however, very long established. He's in prison now, not for blowing any whistles, not for highlighting any rape gangs. He's in prison because he falsely accused a tiny little Syrian refugee boy, a schoolboy, of heinous crimes, which turned out to be the very opposite of the truth. And substantial damages were were ordered by the British courts against Robinson, that he had to pay this defenseless little Syrian refugee boy. And he didn't pay it. He went bankrupt. And then he repeated, not once, but multiple times, exactly the false allegations that he had made against this little boy and had been found guilty of defamation over. So he was sent to prison for contempt of court. Maybe Elon Musk digs contempt of court. Maybe he's in favor of beating up little Syrian refugee boys. Actually, on the evidence of the last few days, I'd say it was pretty certain that he was. Unless the Syrian refugee boy could grow up into, I don't know, a computer kind of guy, then maybe Elon would bring him in on $9 an hour to program big tech. Now, Elon Musk's call for Farage to be removed as the leader of Reform after a dazzlingly successful period for Farage is a very considerable setback. It has split, as one of Robinson's supporters said on Twitter, our movement. The truth be told, our movement, their movement are one and the same. Musk and Robinson and Farage are merely cheeks of the same arse. Their movement of racial exclusivism, Zionism, their movement of hatred of the other, unless it's a $9 an hour, Indian in Silicon Valley, are the surf that they intend to wave, they intend to surf all the way to power in multiple countries. Meloni is in the White House right now, or rather at Mar-a-Lago, the summer White House of Donald Trump. She is, of course, the heir to Mussolini. No doubt some plans are being hatched for similar waves of xenophobia, of chauvinism, of racism, and of hatred of Muslims. Now, it may be that the biggest lesson to be drawn from the last week is this: the centre cannot hold. Labour, the Labour government, is so gutless, so compromised by its own crimes against the people, that they zipped up their mouth. A member of the American government is calling the British Prime Minister the chief organizer of rape in England. A member of the American government is calling Jess Phillips, a member of the British government, a minister of state, a rape and genocide denier. And Labour could not defend her. Labour could not defend Keir Starmer. They staged Sturm as a member of a foreign government launched, if you'll forgive the words, a jihad against them, because they know that in a popularity contest, not only Farage, maybe even Robinson, and definitely Elon Musk, is much more popular than them. The centre is dead in Britain, in France, in Germany, and in the United States of America. Such is the hegemony of the populist right, they're all tearing lumps out of each other to establish who will be the top dog on the right. The lesson I draw from it is that if Labour cannot, will not stand up to the racists, the Islamophobes, if Labour will not stand up for the British citizens of colour, we will. I will. I am the protector of Britain's minority ethnic communities. And I am the hammer of paedophiles, the hammer of groomers. It is my party that has on the order paper for the next meeting of the Rochdale Borough Council a motion for an independent public inquiry into the grooming scandal and into its cover-up, because it was covered up by politicians who are still in power today, by council officials who are still in power today. And some of them have even been promoted upwards. Most of the groomers went to jail. The rest of them need to go to jail. And the independent public inquiry must tell us why they did not. But none of the politicians who covered it up have gone to jail, and all of them need to go to jail. So some ask, why am I defending Britain's South Asian communities whilst going after, as I did in my speeches in Parliament? In just 6 months, I did more on the grooming scandal in Rochdale than any other politician has ever done. Is there not a contradiction there? No. The difference is this. We defend, protect, and seek justice for the victims. The others are blinded by race and by religion. Well, it's my duty, you see, to stand up for any section of the community that has been abandoned by the rest of the political class. And nobody wants to stand up for Britain's ethnic minority communities. So I will have to do so myself, if necessary, but not unless you join me and we can be a very big and powerful army indeed. So far, Mr. Musk, but no further. We won't put up with you anymore. We won't put up with you algorithmically strangling anyone who stands up to your friend Netanyahu's multiple crimes, to genocide. We will not put up with being silenced. We will not put up with being shadow banned. We will not pay you money so that you can choke us. We're going to call you out for what you quite evidently are. And that, in terms of our poll this evening, is villain. You are a villain. And now I've got Nigel Farage on my side on that. Now I've got Keir Starmer on my side on that. In January, February, March, I don't know when, you and I will be facing off in front of a jury in the Dublin High Court. Let's see what they think of you and your conduct, Mr. Musk. I am stood where I have always stood. I stand up for the underdog. If a crowd of bullies start torturing people just because of what they are, as is happening right now in Syria, in the streets, in the houses, in the basements, these people who are torturing and murdering people because they're Christians, because they're Alawites, because they're in a different part of a different current of the same religion as the bullies, I stand with the underdog, now and always. There's only one last thing I want to say. My prediction that the war in Ukraine was very rapidly coming to an end is being proved hourly, not daily, but hourly. The advance of the Russian forces in Ukraine is such that it must only be a matter of weeks before the recapture of Odessa, the recapture of Kharkov, the recapture of everything east of the river Dnieper, and the recapture of the whole coastline of Ukraine. And so if Donald Trump is going to bring this war to an end, and if a state of any kind of Ukraine is going to continue to exist after the 20th of January, Mr. Trump, you better make it the first item on your agenda. We'll be talking about all of these things with two really great guests tonight on the mother of all talk shows. Stay tuned.